I'm reading a book about people disappearing in national parks called, what is it called?
Oh,
The Cold Vanish?
The Cold Vanish, yeah.
I just picked it out at random in an airport because I do that a lot with books. I usually read a chapter of it and then say I'm going to read the rest and never do. But this book is interesting. People, and I don't really, and the reason I don't care this much about this topic is, number one, I don't think it's Bigfoot. I don't think it's aliens. I do think people might be getting abducted. I don't care that much about nature or people that really seek out nature. I think they're very sick. I think people, I don't mind, you know, obviously a beach or something like that, but I like civilization. I like small town, a couple of restaurants, and in a natural setting is nice. But I think people that go into national parks are very sick and very ill. And I believe that. I believe if you're looking for, you know, people that set up tents and do like 10-day camping in a national park are very sick people that have a lot to hide. Truly, I believe that. And I believe that if you are in those situations, I don't know what the fuck you're into. So I don't know why you disappeared. I don't know what you're doing, but I think you're very, very sick, and I don't know what's going on. I think a light hike is fine, but when you start telling me you're like spending days upon days in Zion National Park, I mean, get away from me. Oh, you got to go to Yellowstone. Get away from me. I'll go to Yellowstone for a minute. Hey, look at that. Out. That's where Satan is. Okay? So anybody that wants to be in the woods for an extended period of time, I believe, is out of their fucking mind. I don't know what influence they're under, spiritual or otherwise, but I think it's a big problem. I truly believe that. And I know I say a lot of things for effect here, but I mean, you know, all these people, Joshua Tree, everybody, you gotta go to Joshua Tree and take mushrooms and then figure your life out. I'll figure your life out for you first. Instead of going to Joshua Tree, blow your brains out in the car. How about that? I'll figure it out. Don't bother the aliens with your life decisions. I'll tell you what to do. Pull off the 10 East and swallow a Desert Eagle. Stop looking for mystical experiences and go to what? Jesus Christ, we are a selfish generation of sick fucks. What do you want to commune with so what? You could get a better deal on sneakers? Give up this mystical realm you all keep fucking around in. You are slovenly, selfish pigs. You have no fucking thought to what it would. What are you going to commune with the? For what? What do you think? You're Terrence McKenna? You're going out to Joshua Tree to get more energy so you can go back to your job ripping people off. Take shrooms for the fun of it, but don't pretend it's some fucking journey. You're not a shaman. You're not a shaman. You work at a production company that makes shows about midgets. I'm just saying. Enough already with the national parks. Who gives a shit? Can we solve the blood in the streets? The streets are running with blood. Stop with the park. All the time and the hiking and the fucking view. I mean, Christ almighty, enough. Stop fleeing to these fucking parks so you can sit there and get high by rock formations. The earth is burning. Civilizations, buildings, bridges, restaurants, schools, hospitals. Let's figure that out. Enough already. We want to take like a trip, and I hope you get abducted, and I hope a bear rapes and kills you. Stay the fuck out of nature. It's disgusting. Nothing makes me happier than when Instagram people take a photo on like a cliff and then die immediately afterwards. Nothing fills my heart with hope more than that, and I hope that keeps happening. A little beach is fine. A little light woods are nice. You start going for a week-long trek in the wood, there's a problem. And some of these joggers that go into these national parks and get abducted, it's like, just fucking jog on the street. but it's a better, it looks nice. Well, then you take your risk. But this whole thing, I'm a little sick of these fucking corporate tech pieces of shit pretending that they give a flying fuck about nature. They don't. They don't. Okay? All these fucking people at Burning Man, which is virtual this year, God forbid they not have Burning Man. It's got to be a Zoom meeting of Burning Man. So these people that work at Goldman Sachs who spend their day destroying economies, and these people that design, the type of security systems that keep children in cages for ICE, they need to go do a virtual Burning Man this year because it's not like the real thing. They can't dress up like a fucking weird starfish, weird steampunk angel on roller skates and go fuck around in the Black Rock Desert so they can recharge themselves to go sit behind their desk and take more of your freedom and control more of your mind. That's what all those new age Burning Man types are doing. They're leaving that fucking thing and then deleting you on social media. They're at Burning Man and they're like, oh, I love it. I love it. And then they go back to their fucking office and they just program fights for you. They just program how many family members you should fight with for the next 3 months. They just say, everybody's fucking, it's all fun when you're eating, peyote fucking, frittatas or whatever's going down there. That's my opinion on that. Stop pretending to be some connoisseur of the natural world. You're a demon from hell. Own it. Own it. What happened to the old Wall Street types? Michael Douglas in Wall Street wasn't like, you know what I really like? I like winning. I like winning and Yosemite. I love Yosemite because the hot springs. No. Own it. Enough with these motherfuckers. Ben has returned to the show. Ben was suspended for a week. He had a suspension because an article came out about him in the LA Times where he was accused of multiple rapes. And he was and we thought that the punishment for that was a suspension for a week. And one of the women is alleging that he branded her. And so he's now back. And if we're sourcing these claims, and if it is true, he will be suspended for another week, and then that will be his punishment. But we haven't really found the validity in that. We're gonna start putting up new dates on Instagram, Tim J Dillon, Dillon. Twitter, Tim J Dillon, Dillon. Follow me on Facebook, Tim Dillon, TimDillonComedy.com. We are going to throw some new dates up. We're back on the road, September, October, November. We've got dates. We're coming to Texas. We're coming to Florida. We are going places. As soon as all of those offers and deals that we have cook in, as long as we can verify that they're going to happen and we can put those tickets on sale, we're going out. We've got some new material, some old material, some crowd work, some riffing, some fucking just having fun talking about this craziness that we're in. Subscribe, rate, review our podcast 5 stars. Tell friends about it if you like it. Rate us on iTunes. Tell everybody about us. Call Spotify. Tell them to give us a fucking $100 million. Whatever you want to do. This is, we appreciate this. The show's grown dramatically. It's only going to grow more, hopefully, and we're looking at some new options for later on in the year, early next year. We're going to have a cool new studio. We're taking a lot of the production quality of the videos has gone up. You've noticed we're going in a different direction. Hopefully, we have a fully functional, kind of like a late night show that's actually funny. Wouldn't that be nice? An actual funny late night show eventually. So, like something that you could actually watch and go, oh, that was comedic and I enjoyed it, which is nothing that is happening right now. There's not one thing you think is funny, truly. There's not. The only funny thing right now, truly to watch, is the news, because literally you watch it and you just see, people climbing through the windows of Fridays with blowtorches and you go, honey, you got to come in here and see. You got to come in here and see. The guy, he's got a bat. He's in... I think it's Ruby Tuesdays. I can't wait. for Trump to not accept the election results or whatever, and there to be like this weird civil war. But by the way, all of this military stuff is there. The military is sending a strong signal to Trump. Don't count on us. That's what a lot of it is. They're sending a strong signal going, don't count on us. We're not with you. And I just can't wait for that to happen and there to be like some real just civil unrest and some real problems in the country. And then, one of these guys on Wall Street's, just drinking a Cabernet and he's just sitting there and he just, like turns on the TV and he's just seeing, he's like trying to understand. He's like squinting. He's squinting and he's just seeing, burning and everything like that. And he just kind of shuts it off. And then he goes, His wife goes, what's going on? Is there a problem? He goes, they blow it up, the media. They make it bigger than it is, Everything's fine. Everything's okay. And, and he just fucking ignores it. Just fucking lights a cigar and everything like that. And then he hears like the sound of distant chanting. And he goes, it's interesting, the neighbors are loud. They're usually not that loud, but I guess they're having an event, and he smiles. He goes, it's nice to have parties. He remembers when he used to have parties. And the chanting's growing louder, and he doesn't understand. Chanting's growing louder, and now he's a little curious. He gets up, he's got the cigar, and maybe he's moved on from the Cabernet. Maybe he's a little snifter of brandy or something. He's in a Macallan, a nice whiskey, and he just sees, and all of a sudden he just sees he just sees the people, and many of them are in black, and many of them aren't, and they're angry, and they're carrying things that look like weapons, batons and clubs and things like that, and maybe one guy's got a chainsaw, and now he's a little nervous. He doesn't quite understand what's going on, and they come into his property and they start lighting it on fire, and now he's a little disappointed, He doesn't really mind the house burning down because the house was never what he wanted. He loves the property, and he thinks I'm insured. Maybe I could build something else. So even in the initial stages of them burning his home, he sees the opportunity in it, right? He sees this could be like a blessing in disguise. He sees the thing going up, and he goes, I got a good policy on this house. And even if the wife gets it, he goes, me and her haven't been connecting. We haven't been connecting as much, So he sees the opportunity, and maybe she gets horribly scarred, and he just sends her away to some sanitarium, and then he could kind of, call that waitress at Bobby Van's in Sag Harbor that he really likes, and because she's an older woman, but she's big tits, and she gets them, and she likes power, and she appreciates him, and not like his wife does anymore. She doesn't appreciate him. This new one does because she's new, and new is important, and new is good, and it's been a while since he's had any new. So he's watching his house burn down, and he's thinking about maybe his wife being horribly scarred, and still there's nothing that's really troubling him. And then a couple of the people start to approach him, and he says to himself, it's not a huge deal. I'm sure they just want to talk. And then they kind of start pushing him. And this is when he goes, now his physical safety starts to enter his mind for the very first time in the whole equation. And he goes, this is a real issue, and I don't know how I'm going to make it out of this. He's thinking in his mind, does he know any fighting moves? Not really. He's been in only a few scrapes. He's lost most of them. He's a wiry framed, small man that made all his money, closing down the companies that he imagined big surly guys work at, and. So they're now getting him, and now they've hoisted him up, and they're carrying him, and he's now very uncomfortable because he now realizes that this might just go left here, like even though he's tried really, really hard, this may not be a good equation. This might just end very, very badly, and he doesn't really know where this is going to go, and they walk him, and they're walking him to a tree in the middle of his property. It's a big tree. He's always loved this tree, and they're just, they start tying him around this tree, and he goes, this seems very strange. It reminds him actually of one of these kind of fun rituals they used to do at Bohemian Grove. He thought maybe that was going to be it. He's like, maybe they just want to have fun in nature, nature, huh? But no, they start tying him around a tree, and then they start dousing him with something, and he recognizes that smell. It's kerosene. Kerosene. and they're dousing him. And finally he goes, oh, I think they're going to light me on fire. He's still very calm and collected, you know. He didn't realize he was going to die like this, but he's had a pretty decent life. You know, he's made a lot of money. Some people have made more. A hell of a lot of people have made less, you know. The kids went to the best schools. He's only cheated on the wife a few times, and he tested himself for STDs before he had sex with her again. He's done everything responsibly and right, you know. And he's there, and he's just, you know, soaked in kerosene. He doesn't want to say anything offensive. He's thinking of legacy now, you know. He's thinking of his legacy. And it's kind of a proud legacy to be burned at the stake in the Hamptons, really, by an angry mob. You know, he'll probably be remembered. If he is remembered, it'll probably be with some type of sympathy, right? It'll probably be with some type of sympathy, and they're burning him, and they haven't burned him yet, but they all have torches, and they're getting ready to burn him, and he's just there, and he's doused in kerosene and everything like that, and he's tied to the tree, and he finally starts understanding, you know, that there are some problems in America. There are issues in America there, and he never understood that, you know. And so then they start burning him, and he's smelling his own flesh burn, and the pain is so intense. He's gritting his teeth, and his teeth are almost breaking, and the blood is kind of oozing out of his mouth. He's just clenching his teeth, and he can't even speak. There's so much pain, you know? There's so much pain. And he's just, as he drifts off, and he's just, again, cooking, tied to a tree in his Southampton home. As he's cooking, the last thing that he thinks to himself is he goes, man, maybe we should have let them get a knee operation. I guess. But then he reminds himself that hindsight is 20/20. And he cares. He cares more about the fact that as soon as that house is burned and that tree is burned and that his body is burned, a nice young family of guys like him will move in there. So even though he's dead, his last thought is, you know what? Fuck him. You know how expensive it is to put in a new knee? A hell of a lot more pricey. If you multiply it by the amount of people that really need it, it's a hell of a lot more pricey than just building a new house for another hedge fund guy that can just move in there. And that hedge fund guy will look out at that burnt tree and he'll maybe learn a few lessons, but I bet he won't, you know? So even in the last throes of consciousness, he decides against the knee operations. He says, fuck it. You know what? The system's important. What is my flesh? What do I have to say that will ever be greater than the system? That's what gets people up in the morning, right? My life is nothing. So he kind of has a smile on his face. He has a smile on his face, and it's charred. You can kind of see it. But the smile is because the last thought he had, he goes, man, the next guy who buys this property is going to get such a good fucking deal. Good night. You know, if you need, go get a potato and put a Marlboro Light in its mouth and watch that and then press play on your phone.